Good morning. Welcome to Saturday, April 15th, 2023. This is Just Parlays with Chris King on the Winners and Winers Network. I'm, of course, Chris King, your host. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. We saw the NBA regular season end and the play-in tournament go by. We've seen the NHL regular season finally come to an end yesterday, and the best thing you can say about hockey is they survived another season with Gary Bettman as leader of the National Hockey League. Sooner or later, maybe that guy will get a new job, and we'll get somebody in there that knows what they're doing. But still, congratulations to the Miami Heat as they rallied down the stretch to beat the Chicago Bulls last night, 102-91. That gives them the right to play the Milwaukee Bucks and get slaughtered in 4 games and then end their season. Chicago led the game 90-87 with 3:47 to go, gave up a 15-1 run down the stretch to end the game. Tough break for them. And, of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves ended up rolling over the Oklahoma City Thunder in the other matchup, winning 120-95. That gives the Timberwolves the 8th seed in the West. They'll take on the Denver Nuggets, a team that seemed to be very good early in the season, kind of stumbled in the second half of the year. It'll be interesting to see if the Nuggets can turn it back on now that the postseason has started, or if they're going to be a disappointment. But Oklahoma City just shot their 36% yesterday. That wasn't going to get it done. Rudy Gobert came back and had 21 points and 10 rebounds for Minnesota after missing the game against the Lakers when he was suspended after trying to swing at Kyle Anderson in the regular season finale against New Orleans. Good to see T-Trains here. What did we else see yesterday? We saw a lot of baseball. Saw some high-scoring games around the league, including the New York Mets beating up on the AAA Oakland A's. I know everybody's going to be like, well, they're still a major league team. If you watch the A's, they don't look like one. They've been getting lit up repeatedly this season, and things don't seem to be getting any better from a pitching perspective. You know, you can make a lot of money betting on the A's overs right now. They've given up an average of 8.43 runs a game this season. Even playing at the Ring Central Coliseum, they've still given up 8.29 runs a game at home. They gave up 17 yesterday to the Mets. Going back, looking at their numbers this season, they've given up at least 4 runs in 12 of their 14 games. And one of the 2 they didn't was the opener against the Angels when they won 2-1 against Shohei Ohtani. But you look lately, going back to the final game of the second series of the year against Cleveland, they gave up 6. Then they gave up 9, 11, and 11 to Tampa Bay. They gave up 5, 12, 4, and 8 to Baltimore, and then 17 last night. There's nothing good you can say about the Oakland A's pitching staff, unless you're an opposing hitter. The A's will send Shintaro Fujinami to the mound today against Carlos Carrasco. Fujinami has not looked good in his first couple starts in the majors. 0-2. His ERA 17.55. That's not a typo, folks. On the plus side, he did lower his whip to 2 1/4. But 7 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 6 2/3 innings. He's given up 13 runs. In his start against Tampa Bay last week, 5 runs on 3 hits, 4 walks and a strikeout, and 4 1/3. Oakland's number 1 starter, it's pretty much got to be Mueller by default when you look, because you're looking at the rotation and you're like, it's kind of like watching Major League at the beginning of the movie where they're sitting there in the diner and they're like, who are these fucking guys? If you look at the depth chart, they list Blackburn as the number 1 starter, but he's, of course, on the injured list. Then they've got Waldichuk, Caprelli, and Mueller, and Fujinami. But let's face it, I don't consider Paul Blackburn an ace either whenever he comes back. Sure, he had a winning record last year. That's something, but he also didn't pitch after August 4th. Just some bad numbers all the way around. I'm going to try and see if they have a time frame for when Blackburn is supposed to come back. Let's see. Oh, he has a fingernail. He tore a nail off the middle finger of his hand. So, who knows when he'll be back? They don't have a time frame listed. He's been on the shelf. Let's see. Pitched on March 10th in spring training. So he won't be back until maybe late April, let's say they're talking about. I don't know if it's going to matter by then. T-Train's mad about the Mets with Francisco Alvarez. Yeah, I don't understand why they brought him up if they're not going to play him. But that seems to be a Showalter thing because, we've seen it numerous times. I know they like Nito because he's a defensive catcher, but you're right. He's batting $107. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. He did score twice, drew a couple of walks. In fact, those were his first 2 walks of the season. So you'd have to think that at some point they're going to get sick and tired of seeing him. It seems like they're trying to split up the catching because Alvarez caught on Sunday and then on Tuesday. Maybe you'll see him over the weekend. But yeah, Nito's not much of a guy that's going to do any damage at the plate. Robertson, I watched him pitch last year, when he was with the Cubs last year, before they traded him at the deadline. I think they're worried about, how healthy he's going to be because, he's 38. I'm just trying to look at who else they have in the bullpen because it's not, after Diaz got hurt. Okay, there's not a lot of names that jump out there. Ottavino is probably the only guy that has any closing experience. Oh, Brooks Raley, I guess, closed a little bit in his career, but looking at those guys, there's not a lot of reliable arms that you want to have close out games. I sure as hell don't want Dennis Santana, but hey, he got a win yesterday. Who's hitting for the Mets? Well, yeah, I know Alonso had 6 homers going into yesterday. Let's see. Just take a look at their numbers. Alonso's hitting 269. Lindor's hitting 245. Marte's at 295. And Nimmo's at 268. And Tommy Pham's at 275, but he's only got 29 ABs. So, yeah, you could do worse. I'm just looking at some of these guys. Vogelbach hasn't really moved the needle yet, though he has walked 7 times, so I'll give him that. He's got a good OBP. I'm surprised that Omar Narvaez was hitting well before he got hurt. But then again, it was a short stint for him before he got injured. So there's that too. Trio Marte is an injury issue. He's had issues with that in his career. But when he's healthy, he's decent. Of course, that's the big thing, if he's healthy. And, of course, he's on the wrong side of 30 now, too. He's 34. Hard to believe he's been in the league that long when you think about it. But then again, he started in 2012 with the Pirates. It's got to suck when you spend the first 7 or 8 years of your career with the Pirates, and then you went to the Diamondbacks for, 10 minutes. And then you went to the Marlins. And then you went to Oakland. And now you're with the Mets. it's got to be disappointing to spend your career with a bunch of teams that aren't very good. But unfortunately, that's the way things go these days. Let's see. What else did we see yesterday that was worth kicking around? Tampa Bay finally lost 6-3 to the Blue Jays. Jose Barrios, of course, everybody thought that he'd be the guy that would beat the Rays. He was helped by a 4-run fifth for Toronto, which was helped, of course, by an error. Drew Rasmussen gave up 6 runs, 5 earned, and 4 1/3. It's be interesting to see what the Rays do now because Jeffrey Springs is supposed to miss a couple months with an arm issue. We've seen Josh Fleming be inconsistent. Rasmussen took the loss. Glasnow's still on the injured list. Eflin's on the injured list. So you've got 2 of your original top or 5 starters from your rotation that are healthy, in McClanahan, who will pitch tomorrow, and Rasmussen, who threw yesterday. It's a lot of holes to fill. Tampa Bay is supposed to roll with, let me see, Calvin Fauché today. I don't know if he's going to be an opener or what. Let's see. Yeah, he's only thrown 6 innings and 4 outings this season. So it looks like it's going to be the old let's throw everybody in the bullpen type of game. Could see a lot of Jalen Beeks. Might see some Ryan Thompson. Anybody but Garrett Clevenger, as long as he doesn't go long innings. That's going to be tough for Tampa Bay to maintain their start with the pitching issues they have. With now Springs will probably be out until sometime in June, I would imagine at best. Glasnow, hopefully he'll be back soon. He had an oblique injury in spring training. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any major updates on him. He's ramping up his injury rehab. He's supposed to throw a bullpen this week. So he's on the comeback trail. Springs, like we said, he's supposed to miss at least 2 months, so you might not see him until the All-Star break, which is too bad because he was pitching really well in his first 3 starts. Gave up just 1 run on 4 hits in 16 innings and struck out 24. Eflin has lower back tightness. Hopefully he'll only miss a couple starts. But still, the injuries are piling up early in the season. Does anyone strike fear? Well, no, but they seem to find guys that, can contribute. And that's the thing, they don't have anybody that necessarily scares you. Maybe a Rosarena or maybe Wander Franco. But they turn that roster over or that lineup over a lot. They don't necessarily have a big power guy, but you look at their lineup and they hit 34 homers in 14 games. And you got Franco has 4, Rosarena has 3, Diaz has 4, Paredes has 3, Brandon Lowe has 5. Manny Margot, remember when he was the number 1 pick a few years ago and then fell off the face of the map? He's got 2. Josh Lowe has 3. Harold Ramirez has 3. Luke Raley has 3. Bethencourt has 2. Siri had 2 before he went on the injured list. So, they're a team that, they've got some power, but they also, it's spread out. It's not like a team like, say, the White Sox, where you've got Jimenez and Robert, and that's about it. They're hitting well. They're hitting 283 as a team. The pitching is going to come back to earth, obviously, because, like we said, you're missing several starters. But when you still got McClanahan in there, you're going to be in decent shape at least every 5th day. But they're going to have to get some work from some of these other guys to fill gaps, and that's going to be a test for them. But looking at their schedule coming up, after Toronto, you've got 3 with the Reds on the road. Then you've got the White Sox at home for 3. You've got Houston at home. Then you've got 4 at the White Sox to end April. And then you got 3 at home against Pittsburgh. But then May gets tough because after those 3 with the Pirates, the 2nd through the 4th of May, you've got 3 at home with the Yankees, 3 at Baltimore, 4 at the Yankees, 3 at the Mets, and 3 at Milwaukee, then 4 at home against Toronto, and 3 at home against the Dodgers. So that's going to be a tough road to travel in the month of May for the Tampa Bay Rays. Hopefully they'll be a little bit healthier than they are right now. Yeah, Arozarena does swing a lot. He kind of is a slightly upgraded version of Javier Baez, who got benched the other day by Detroit when he forgot how many outs there were. But I digress about that. It's just Baez is seemingly, I'm not going to say he's checked out, but he's had his struggles since getting traded. You know, he got traded to the Mets and he went to Detroit as a free agent, signed for all that money, and is playing on a team that, let's face it, isn't very good. Baez is hitting $159 this season. On the plus side, he's only struck out 8 times at 44 at-bats. On the minus side, he only has 2 extra base hits and 44 at-bats, and they're both doubles. But we're talking about a Detroit team that's hitting a collective 204 as a team. And Matt Vierling is your best hitter at 256. That's not going to get it done. They need to get more from guys like Torkelson. You know, he was the highly touted number 1 pick a couple of years ago. He's hitting 216 with 1 home run. Cabrera, we know that he's at the end of the road. He's at 207. And then you're looking at some of these other guys, and you're like, wow, these guys blow. Austin Meadows is hitting 238. He's only played in 6 games. Riley Green has been okay, but he's only hitting 231. And he struck out 19 times and 52 at-bats. And their pitching is not great. You know, Matt Manning is hurt again. Spencer Turnbull has an ERA of 9. Erod has been mediocre. Joey Wentz is 0-2. Boyd is 0-1. His ERA is 4. And you look at these pitchers and you're like, wow, these guys are terrible. Team ERA of 5.96. They've given up 23 home runs. Their strikeout to walk ratio is just over 2-1. They only average 7 strikeouts a game for 9 innings. They need to be better. How long will Baez be in Detroit? I don't know if anybody wants to take on his contract. I mean, he's a talented player. I mean, we've seen the things he can do defensively. But, I mean, he's 30 years old now. Let me just take a look at his contract. He signed through 2027. And let's see, he's getting $22 million this year, then $25 the next 2 seasons, and $24 million in 2026 and 2027. He can opt out after this season. So if you're the Tigers, you have to wonder, do we cut our losses and try to get anything we can to trade him? And if you're another team, you wonder, do we want to pick this guy up if he can leave at the end of the year? And if that's the case, then you have to wonder what kind of return you're going to get, because do you want to shell out a bunch of money for a guy that might not be there after this season because he wants to go somewhere else? We'll have to see how that pans out. Now, of course, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that good stuff. I know it's been kind of quiet around here the last couple of weeks. Everybody had a hopefully everybody had a good Easter last week and spent time with family and all that good stuff. But like I said, like, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we're here. That's 9 a.m. on Saturdays. You can always catch the replay whenever you turn on YouTube. Just go to the Winners and Winers channel and click under the live videos, and you'll see the show. And you can watch it at your leisure. Of course, if you watch it too late, some of the games have already started. But that's the ups or the pros and cons of having a show early in the morning. Is you might not be here when it's on, and you might catch it later on, but some of those games may have kicked off because they're early afternoon games or whatever. But we're glad that you are here. We're glad that you watched the video. Feel free to leave comments or whatever else and go from there. Also, if you use the promo code scrolling across the bottom of the screen, which is actually not the right one because it didn't update, so give me 1 second and I'll update it. Sometimes when you hit save on these things, it just doesn't want to cooperate. I blame technology because it's all technology's fault. Let's see. Let me find the promo code for this. Okay. I knew I changed it yesterday and it didn't save. So let me fix this. All right, where's the save button? There it is. There we go. Use the promo code right across screen now. King L960 save 60% off premium packages. You can use it for individual plays, for weekly plays, for monthly plays, or whatever else. We hit a couple 4-teamers already this week. So it was a good start to the week. We've hit, I think, a half dozen of them in the month of April, not counting the ones we had on the show. On the baseball side, premiums have gone 28 and 13, I think, so far this year. So been pretty good on that front. Just over 67%. Can't complain about that. The Angels disappointed me yesterday because I thought they were going to beat T-Train's Red Sox, and they fell apart, losing 5-3. Another game where the Angels bullpen didn't necessarily help out. Of course, neither did 3 errors. But what can you do? I thought Sandoval would last longer than 3 2/3, but he threw 90 pitches. So credit to Boston getting him out of there and getting into that Charmin soft Angels bullpen that can't get things done. Throwing error led to the tying run. Another throwing error by Rendon led to an insurance run. Well, it was the eventual winning run. And then a pass ball scored a run for them as well. So kudos to the Angels for finding ways to lose. Justin Steele looked good. I didn't stay up to watch the game since I had to be up this morning. 5 homers helped. I was surprised they hit that many in Chavez Ravine. I was surprised Jan Gomes hit 2, which gives him 2 on the year. It was good to see Suzuki back in the lineup. Oh, I'm sorry. Gomes has 3. I forgot. I think he hit 1 against Cincinnati. It was good to see Suzuki back in the lineup. That adds another experienced bat to the mix. Means you could send Mastrobuoni back down to Iowa. Hosmer's been better than I expected in the early going, and I'm sure he'll come back to form. On the flip side, Swanson was bad yesterday. 0 for 5, struck out 5 times. That's the golden sombrero, I believe. Or actually, it could be the Horn of Plenty. Remember Sam Horn? You should be familiar with him, T-Train, from the days of when he spent in Boston in the, the late 80s? Late 80s, early 90s, something like that. And then he went to Baltimore. The Horn of Plenty was what they called it when he fanned 5 times in a game. But yeah, I can't complain about what Swanson's done this season. Ooh, Otani and Bray and Bello. Boy, we got a lot of money fading him last year. It was a profitable adventure. But yeah, it says RotoWire lists him as being expected to go Monday for his season debut. Has he done anything in the minors? Has he been down there? Yeah, Worcester. He made 1 start, gave a run on 4 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. So solid outing down there. The question is, can he get outs at the major league level? And last year the answer was not so much. Well, let's move on to some of the picks for today. I know everybody's looking forward. Bello will be a good one. Well, he couldn't pitch any worse than Yohan Adon did last year. So hopefully he gets it together. I know that the Red Sox need some arms at this point. And I know he'll be better than the 2-8 mark he put up last year. I mean, he's still only going to be 24 next month. So as he gets experience, that'll improve. But yeah, Steele looked good yesterday. He's pitched well. I mean, he pitched well in the second half of last season. But then again, the whole pitching staff was good in the second half of last year. It didn't matter by then because they had fallen apart. I still don't know why Drew Smiley has a starting job. I don't know why Julian Merriweather is on the team. I like the way Alzolay is pitched. I like Keegan Thompson's versatility. I think Wisniewski will be better as the season goes on. I know he's struggled a little bit so far, but I think he'll improve and get back to form. But Steele's been good. Stroman was good before the other day. And even then, he wasn't horrible against Seattle. Gave up 2 runs in 6. Kyle Hendricks is supposed to be back soon. So it'll be interesting to see who they shuffle around. But I digress. Yeah. Bloom, I think, was handcuffed with some of the decisions that he made. And, now it's coming back to bite him. And that's the problem is, you can only do so much. I don't think they expected Bogarts to leave and take the deal in San Diego, and they just didn't plan accordingly. Ryan Brazier, T-Train's favorite guy. He's the president of the fan club. Make sure you contact him for all your Ryan Brazier needs, and he'll get you squared away. But we'll move on to 3 for the money, and don't forget the NBA playoffs start today. And with that, we've got an NBA playoff game in there. I'm going to go with the Mets over the A's. I know that, like T-Train said, Carrasco might not be long for New York after the way he's looked in the first couple starts of the year. But when we've talked about how badly the A's have pitched this year, Carrasco could give up 5 or 6 runs, and the Mets could still win by 12. Carrasco has not looked good this year. 0-2 at 11.42 earned run average, walked 7, struck out 5. On the plus side, his FIP is only 914. So, he's pitched to the tune of 2+ runs worse than his fielding independent ERA. And he's facing an Oakland team that's, let's face it, not very good. We talked about Fujinami before. We just watched the Mets rake the A's for 17 runs Friday night. I don't see Fujinami holding them in check. T-Train got the Braves at 141. I saw him at 146 last night. This guy set these up Friday night because otherwise I'd have to be up at dark 30, and I like to sleep sometimes. Braves won yesterday 10-3 behind Charlie Morton. Charlie, don't call me Ed Norton. Morton, they scored 4 in the first, 3 in the second, and the game was over by then. Meanwhile, you're talking about a Kansas City team. Singer got shelled, gave up 8 runs in 5 innings. Today they go to everybody's favorite guy on the mound. That's right. Chris Bubic going against Bryce Elder. Bubic, another guy we made a ton of money fading last year. He's pitched okay in his first 2 starts. He's 0-1 with a 164 earned run average. Pitched well against the Giants in his last outing. Threw 6 scoreless, gave up just 2 hits, no walks, and struck out 9. Here's the problem if you're a Royals fan. The Royals have scored 2 runs in his 2 starts. So it doesn't matter how well you pitch when your team's only scoring 1 run. For what it's worth, I don't think he'll be as successful against the Braves here. Like I said, we saw Atlanta hang a 10 spot on a better pitcher in Singer and he's clearly a better pitcher than Bubic is. The Braves also, by the way, Bubic is a left-handed pitcher. Atlanta's tagged left-handed pitching this season to the tune of a 336 average with 7 doubles and 3 homers and 113 at-bats. They've got a 411 OBP, a 478 slugging for an 889 OPS. And they're 5-1 on the road, averaging better than 5 runs a game. Meanwhile, Kansas City has not been very good. Playing at home, they're 1-7 on the season. At Kauffman Stadium, in those 8 games, the Royals have posted a grand total of 20 runs. That's not going to get it done. They're batting 167 at home. And that has to be a cause for concern. Hitting 210 against lefties, 202 against righties. Very, now Bubic isn't that bad, but he's not that great either. And that's the problem, And when you're pitching for a team that doesn't score any runs, it's tough to keep your team in the game. And he's been okay at that the first 2 starts, but now you're looking at the fact that he's got to face a lineup that can actually hit. Murphy's played well. I think Diarno I want to say he was injured. But, he's out with a concussion. So he got injured on Sunday. So he'll be out at least through tomorrow. And who knows how long after that, because they don't have a date on it. The Braves will be more dangerous once they get Fried and Harris, and even Colin McHugh and Iglesias back to add to that bullpen. And, Vaughn Grissom's back up since Arcia is out with that microfracture in his wrist. Doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. And the Cavs over the Knicks, I know everybody's really excited about this series because you've got the team that wanted Donovan Mitchell in New York and the team that got Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland. Julius Randle is targeting his return for today in Game 1. I'm a little worried about how healthy he's going. Well, not how healthy he's going to be, but how effective he's going to be. He hasn't played in an extended stretch here, and that's going to be a concern for the Knicks because A, you've got to make sure he's healthy. B, you got to make sure that he can be effective. He's targeting his return. He was marked as questionable last night. The Knicks did sign a couple guys before the end of the season. I'm just trying to see if there's anything new about Randall. Because, I mean, he hasn't played since, let's see. Let me pull it up here. Randall's last game was game logs. Last outing was on March 29th, so you figure he missed the last 5 games of the regular season. It's only been a little more than 2 weeks since he injured the ankle. How effective is he going to be is going to be a big concern for the Knicks because they clearly need him. But I don't know if him at 70 or 80% is good enough. The Knicks did take 3 of 4 this season in the regular season. A couple of ugly games. They won 92-81 at home, 105-103 at home. January 24th, they won the game on the last meeting on March 31st, 130-116 in Cleveland. In that game, it was 47-42 after the first quarter. Brunson had 48 for the Knicks. They had 7 guys in double figures. Donovan Mitchell had 42 for Cleveland. I don't see the Cavaliers letting the Knicks shoot 52.7% from the floor or hit 17 of 36 from three-point range like they did in that game, though, either. I just like Cleveland here. I hope you feel better, T-Train. But I saw that people were saying that you weren't in the Discord yesterday, and that was weird for them. So hopefully you feel better and get all that, honey-do list stuff done. And, Kimmy doesn't kill you or Yogi doesn't poop on the rug. Good to see Ian. Let's move on to the 4th of the show. I had to bounce back and forth about this one, the Yankees and the Twins, because I took the Yankees Thursday, and the game was over before I even looked at it because the Twins scored 9 in the first. Then yesterday we watched the Yankees hit, in the span of 3 pitches in the bottom of the first go up 2-0 on the Twins, and they went on to lose that one 4-3 because Clay Holmes showed that half a season that got him into the All-Star game was fluke because he fell apart, gave up 2 runs in the 8th to erase a 3-2 lead, and turned it into a 4-3 loss. Today it's Domingo Germán versus Tyler Mahle. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees here because Mahle's never faced the Yankees. He's never pitched at Yankee Stadium. Germán has pitched well against the Twins in his career. And as well as Minnesota's played the first 2 games of the series, the Yankees have had great success against the Twins in recent years. And God forbid Clay Holmes won't be available to blow the game. The Mariners over the Rockies. We saw the Mariners win last night 5-3. The Rockies continue to be a team that isn't very good on the road. They're 5-9 on the season overall. They're 2-4 on the road. They're hitting .239 away from Coors compared to .298 at Coors. We talk about it every year. The Rockies are not a good road team. They continue to live up to that billing. Pitching matchup for this game, Ryan Feltner taking on George Kirby. Feltner 0-1, a 7.45 ERA. His whip is 186. He's given up 10 hits, 8 walks, and 9 2/3. Pitched 5 innings against the Nationals in his last start. Gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. But that wasn't overly inspiring. Kirby was a good pitcher last year. 0-1, 4.35 this year in his 2 starts. Pitched well in his last outing. Got a no decision because the bullpen sucked. He went 6 innings, gave up a run on 5 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts against Cleveland. He left with a 2-1 lead. Mariners went out to lose 7-6 in 12 innings. They were up 3-1 in the 9th before Brash gave up a 2-run double to Brennan that tied the game up, and then the teams traded runs in the 11th and 12th before Cleveland got the win. So, good to see Ian. The 76ers over the Nets. That's right. It's NBA playoff time. Woo. Let's face it, the 76ers have home court advantage. The Nets, nobody knows how they're going to perform in the playoffs. They don't really have anybody that scares you. Just looking at what we saw in the regular season, well, Philadelphia beat the snot out of the Nets this season. They took all 4 meetings. They won 115-106 back in November, 137-133 back in January, 101-98 at Brooklyn in February 11th, and then blew the Nets out 134-105 in the regular season finale last week. This is a Brooklyn team that, let's face it, you traded away your best players. You still got into the playoffs because, there were some bad teams in the East. But when you're trying to roll out Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson and Spencer Dinwiddie and Claxton against the likes of Embiid and Harden and Tobias Harris and company, it's an uphill climb. I don't think Claxton is going to contain Embiid. I don't think that the Nets have the weapons offensively to keep up with Philadelphia. And the 76ers are a pretty solid defensive team. Nathan was up 15 units the last few days. The last few bucks. Well, that's probably video poker. They'll try to they'll try to get their way to even things out. But hopefully, you can keep the momentum going. And the Hawks and the Celtics over 230.5. We saw Atlanta, beat Miami to get here. Now they have to deal with a Boston team that is very good. You look at the 3 meetings this season in the regular season, Boston won all 3. They've won the last 5 meetings dating back to last January. 3 meetings this season, Boston won 126-101 on November 16th. On March 11th, they won 134-125. And then in the regular season finale, despite playing pretty much nobody, they still went over the total with a 120-114 win. So we know that Boston loves to run up and down the floor, score and pile up points with Tatum and Brown and Smart and Horford. Just taking a look here as far as to give you an idea as far as terms of pace go, Boston wasn't a fast-paced team. They were 20th in pace, but they were 4th in scoring offense at 117.9 points a game. Second in the league in threes per game with 16, 6th in three-point shooting. Atlanta, 9th in tempo at 100.7 points or possessions a game. They were 3rd in scoring offense at 118.4, 26th in scoring defense. And if you take a look at road splits for the Hawks on the road this season, Atlanta 17-24. They gave up 118.9 points a game. Opposing team shot almost 49% from the floor, 37.4% from three. This one is probably going to be a high-scoring affair. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up in the 240s with the way these teams can score. Yeah, Bill, I think the Hawks should probably be able to hang in there. That's why I went with the total. I'm just not – because I figure these teams are going to score points. I just don't know. We could see Boston blow them out early. Yeah, that's why. Again, that's why I didn't take the aside on that one, because I think that you're right. You could have Boston go up 12 or 15, and then have Atlanta come back late with some garbage buckets and then make it a 7-point game or something like that. That's why I figured it was easier to go with the total in this one, because these teams can score. I mean, like I said, they're third and fourth in the league in scoring offense. The Hawks were 26th in scoring defense. The Celtics were actually fifth, but as we saw in the meetings this season, that didn't seem to matter because Atlanta still got their points. And that takes us to everybody's favorite part of the show, the shot in the dark. As we always say, you can take a couple, you can take 4, you can take 7, you can take 10. You can mix some of those with some of your own. You can mix some of them with some of the other ones we already have up here. You can round robin them. You can eat a bunch of sandwiches, whatever you want to do. That's the fun part. As Jim Williams used to say, it's the Chinese menu. You can take some from column A, some from column B, and some from column C, and go from there. But we'll go with this. I'm going to take Golden State and Sacramento to stay under 238. And I know everybody's like, well, why would you think it would stay under? Well, we know how Golden State's played on the road this year. For starters, 11-30 as the visiting team. And you look at some of the numbers, Golden State has gone under, seen the under go 15-5-1 in their last 21 against teams with a winning record. The Kings actually closed the season with 4 straight unders on the books. And just looking at some of the other numbers for those teams in their head-to-head matchups this season, we saw the meaningless game towards the end of the year there where Sacramento rested their starters because they had nothing to play for. That ended up at 216 on April 7th. The other 3 matchups, the first matchup went over when the Warriors won 130-125. That was October 23rd. The November 7th meeting was 116-113. The November 13th meeting was 122-115 in favor of Sacramento. So you look at 3 of the 4 meetings between the teams this season ended up below that number. 3 for good measure. 3 of the 4 meetings last season also ended up under this number. They had 226, 211, 199, and 240 in the 4 meetings a year ago. I think it's gonna be a little tighter than people expect. I'm gonna take the Reds, and I know that's surprising because they're playing the Phillies, and everybody's like, the Phillies are a good team, and they are. They got some bats in the lineup, but their pitching has been suspect. And I'm not sold on Matt Stram as a starting pitcher. He'll face off with Graham Ashcraft, who's pitched pretty well in his couple of starts. Took a tough no decision in his last outing against the Braves through 6 2/3 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. He left in that game. Let me see what the score was. I want to say he left ahead after 6 innings. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was down. The Reds came back to tie it up in the 9th, and they ended up losing 5-4 and 10. But Ashcraft has pitched pretty well. I know he's pitching in the bandbox that is the Great American Ballpark, but so is Stram, so that evens out. And in his 1 home start this year against Pittsburgh back on April 2nd, 1 run, 4 hits, a walk, and 6 strikeouts in 7 innings of a 3-1 Cincinnati win. Stram, he threw 5 shutout innings against the Marlins, beat Sandy Alcantara the other day with the help of, plenty of bats, support from the bats in that game. He'll get support here, but I think the Reds can get to him. Actually, I don't like Houston. I'm going to take Vegas with the points just because Houston has tapered off. I know they won last week, but let's face it, they haven't been very good offensively. Brandon Silvers has tapered off substantially since his hot start. And he didn't look all that great last week. He was 17 to 36 with 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 picks. I think that Houston will probably win the game, but I think it's going to be a close one. I mean, you saw them struggle to beat San Antonio last week in overtime. They scored less than 20 points 3 of their last 4 games. And I know Vegas is a porous defense, but they've been better offensively since Jalen McClendon took over at quarterback. With that said, like I said, Houston would probably win straight up, but with the points, I'm going to go with Vegas. Don't worry about apologizing. That's all right. Yeah, the Cards and Pirates, they're not good offensive teams. But that's probably a good call too. The first 5 under with those 2 teams. Pitching matchup today, though, is a little bit shaky with Matt's going for the Cardinals against Contreras. But we'll get to that in a second. Knicks and Cavs under 217. We talked a bit about that a few minutes ago. The Knicks hope to get Randall back for what that's worth. Cleveland, very stingy defensively. Led the league in scoring defense at 106.9. At home, the Cavs, just waiting for it to pull up here. The Cavs only gave up an average of 105 points even at home, held opposing teams to 45.7% shooting. And they're the slowest paced team in the league at 95.7 possessions a game. The Knicks are 25th in tempo at 97.1 possessions a game. I don't expect the teams to shoot better than 52 and 51% respectively, like we saw in the last meeting. On the road, the Knicks averaged 114.8. They actually had a winning road record, which was impressive. I don't see them having that kind of success against Cleveland in Cleveland's barn. Good to see you, AJ's. I see your cousin there drove in a run yesterday for the Royals. Hopefully, he can put up a couple runs to help Kansas City help push that game over the total today. Because as you see, we've got it on the board there. Rays Royals over 9. We saw Atlanta do that by themselves yesterday. I look for that to be another high-scoring game at Kauffman Stadium. Good to see you, Sabrine. Hopefully you're having a good day as well. Let's see what else we got here. We got the Diamondbacks and the Marlins under 8.5. That game was a low-scoring affair yesterday. Miami won 5-1 behind Trevor Rogers, which was disappointing because I thought that Trevor Rogers was going to suck. But then I forgot that I got him crossed up with his cousin, his brother, Taylor Rogers, who threw his glove in the trash for the Giants after he walked 4 straight guys the other day. Bumgarner struggled, got lit up in the 4th, gave up 5 runs in that frame. Rogers pitched well for Miami. And scoring runs in Lone Depot Park is is a challenge because the dimensions in that park are ridiculous. And the weather never, despite being, nice to watch a game, it doesn't seem to be favorable necessarily for putting runs on the board. And if you look at Ballpark Pal, they've got Lone Depot Park as the fifth worst ballpark for scoring today, behind only T-Mobile Park, which, of course, is always interesting. If you've ever been out there in Seattle, you would know I was there for the second game ever, back when it was called Safeco Field. Watched Randy Johnson pitch for the Diamondbacks in an interleague game. But I digress. The Angels and the Red Sox under 9.5. I should have asked T-Train about this before. Fenway, the wind's blowing in. And it's supposed to be a chilly day up there in Boston. Looking at the pitching matchup in that game, you've got so many things on my list here. Tyler Anderson and Pivetta. Pivetta has looked pretty good in his couple of outings. Tyler Anderson's looked good for the Angels. They've shown that stint with the Dodgers last year wasn't necessarily a fluke. I mean, he was roughed up a bit by the Blue Jays in his last start, but the Angels still won that game. Pivetta's 0-1, but his earned run average is 0.90 in his 10 innings. He's given up 3 runs, 1 earned, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts in 10 frames. Took the tough no decision against Tampa Bay on Monday when he threw 5 scoreless, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts in a 1-0 Boston defeat. Don't sleep on Pivetta. I think this one's going to be a lower scoring game than a lot of people expect. AJ's hit a 4-team no home run parlay yesterday. That's a new one. I didn't know those were out there. We talked about Vegas a couple minutes ago. I'm going to take the Pirates. I can't trust St. Louis. It's not so much that I hate St. Louis being a Cubs fan. It's the fact that I've watched St. Louis play miserable baseball. And I don't trust Steven Matz, and neither should you. What has Matz done to inspire confidence in anybody? You look at his 2 starts this year. He's thrown 11 innings. He's given up 10 runs on 19 hits, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. So his whip is 2. His earned run average is 818. He just got shelled by the Rockies at Coors Field. Gave up 6 runs on 9 hits, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts in 5 2/3. Before that, he gave up 4 runs on 10 hits with a walk and 7 strikeouts in 5 1/3 against the Braves. And Pittsburgh, we talk about the Pirates the last few years. Heel Mario is a Pirates fan. He always talks about how badly the team's played and everything else, but they've played good baseball this year. And that's a scary thought because, I like to bag on the Pirates because they've been terrible. And they trade most of their players away. Now, Contreras hasn't been great in his couple starts. I know the Pirates are minus O'Neal Cruz, who broke his ankle. But you're looking at this and you're thinking the Cardinals are 6-8. The Pirates are 8-6. I don't trust Matz to pitch well. You look at what he's done in his career, and when was he effective? For a short time when he was at the Mets. I'm just going to take a look at his splits here. Yeah, Matz in his career 50 and 53, so he's wasn't even as effective as I thought. He's against the Pirates in his career. He's made 9 appearances, 7 starts. He's 2-3 with a 550 earned run average. He's given up 38 hits in 36 innings. And we're not talking about a Pittsburgh team that was a murderer's row. He was 0-1 in 2016, 1-0 in 2018, 1-1 in 2 starts in 2019, and last year He made 4 appearances, 2 starts. Now think about this: 4 appearances, 2 starts, and he threw a total of 5 1/3 innings against the Pirates. 13.50 ERA, 8 runs on 10 hits, and 5 1/3. Those are not good numbers. Rosarena, it seems like he's been around forever. We were talking about him a little bit earlier with T-Train. Finally, the Orlando Guardians over the San Antonio Brahmas. I think that Orlando will bounce back. They should have won last week. They gave the game away by turning the ball over 5 times. I like Quentin Dormady. I think that they should be able to take advantage of a San Antonio team that doesn't score any points. They average 14.5 points a game. You could probably take the under here and get away with it. The total was 39 as of yesterday. You might not need 17 to win this game. So there's that. And I threw Molly's strikeout prop in here because it was the one that was up yesterday. That's the problem with doing these on Friday or the night before is they don't have a lot of the player props up that I like to throw in. But I think Molly can get to 6 strikeouts against a Yankees team that's a bit prone to free swinging. I mean, let's be honest. They had their moments yesterday. Like I said, they hit 3 home runs. Unfortunately, they were all solo shots. And they struck out 11 times, including 8 times against Louis Varland, who's not somebody that you would necessarily run out and say, hey, this guy's a great pitcher, because he's not. On the season, the Yankees are tied for 18th. They average 9 strikeouts a game. Like I said, struck out 11 yesterday, struck out 10 times on average in their last 3. And they strike out more at home than they do on the road. I think Molly can get to 6, maybe 7. I think the Angels, Red Sox, the under's probably the way. First, you can go under in the first 5 there. I think that's a good way to go. Like I said, Anderson's pitched well. Pivetta has pitched well, hasn't gotten any help. And it's going to be the weather is not going to be the greatest when you look at Fenway in April. You know, T-Train's talking about going to the Monday game since it's Boston Marathon Day, so it'll be the early start. But that should do it for today. If anybody has any other games you want to talk about, we can do that real quick. Otherwise, make sure that, like I said, you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we're here every Saturday at 9 a.m. Contemplating working something where we might be able to do some stuff during the week, but that's a work in progress. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell. Also, like I said, if you use the promo code scrolling across the bottom of the screen, you can save 60% on any premium plays that covers, daily picks or in a specific sport or, if you want to do parlays or if you want to do individual game picks, they're all available to you. Just go to the experts.winnersandwhiners.com website, and everything's laid out for you pretty well there. But thanks for being here. Hope you all have a great Saturday. Hope you have a profitable Saturday. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. For the Winners and Whiners Network and for Just Parlays, I'm Chris King, and we will see you next week. Have a great day, everybody. And don't forget, you can always catch me on Twitter. My Twitter handle's right there, Betting Royalty. Or make sure you check out the Discord. A lot of good stuff going on in there as well. Thanks a lot, and we will see you later. So long, everybody.